Hello, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. I love Bowie knives. I always have, and I always will. This particular knife is a Elk Ridge Bowie knife that I got from my dad when I was 14. And, man, I love this knife. This knife did not start my craze with Bowie knives, but it definitely cemented it. So, today, I want to take a look at some more Bowie knives. Some more interesting Bowie knives. Knives that kind of took the spirit of the Bowie knife and made it into something else. But before we get into that, I've got a little bit of education for you guys. As a wonderful viewer, Mab Guy pointed out in one comment, my channel is all about learning. So, the Bowie knife was invented in the 19th century by either Jim Bowie or his brother, Resin Bowie, and the exact details of how it was invented are kind of mixed, whether Jim Bowie designed it and his brother built it, or whether his brother just built it. Who knows? It's also disputed on whether or not the Bowie knife was the knife used in Jim Bowie's famous sandbar fight, where he disemboweled some poor guy named Wright after being shot and stabbed multiple times, because Jim Bowie was just an absolute unit. So, the knife itself, even though it has a reputation as a fighting knife, it quickly became a favorite among people on the frontier. Pioneers, cowboys, hunters, trappers, all kinds of people really loved the Bowie knife. And there's a couple of reasons for that. It's a big, powerful blade for chopping. Most Bowie knives are bigger than this one. This one has a 7-inch blade. Most of them had blades about 10 to 18 inches, but you could get chopping done. You had a very fine tip with that clip point. You could do some puncturing stuff, some drilling, and it was an excellent skinning knife. All around, it was just a fantastic knife to have on the frontier. So, let's go ahead and take a look at some modern variants. Starting off, I want to take a look at what might be one of the first real departures from the classic Bowie knife. And that's the Buck 110. So a Bowie knife was traditionally a fixed blade. They had a guard, they had this big clip point blade, they had either a coffin handle, a coffin style handle, or what some people call a dog's head or duck head handle. But it was traditionally a fixed blade. That was what a Bowie knife was. Well, along comes the Buck 110 folding hunter. And you can see here we have a very aggressive clip point, much like a Bowie knife, but it folds. And this knife was also, and still is, very popular with outdoors people, hunters, and the like. And yeah, it's just a great knife. You cannot deny the impact this knife has had on the world as in general. I have a review of a more modern version of this. You can check out. I might leave a link if I remember. Buck 110. Next, let's go ahead and look at a knife that completely turns the point of a Bowie knife on its head. And that knife is the Vivi Ortis. So instead of a big, bold fighting / hunting knife, this is a small, timid, modern EDC knife. Again, it's a folding knife. Great action. But even though it has that big, aggressive Bowie blade, there's no denying this is not a fighting knife or a hunting knife. This is an EDC knife. A very good one, I might add. But I want to bring that one out because it's kind of interesting to show how a fighting knife transitioned to something much more socially acceptable. Moving on, let's go back to kind of the fighting roots of the Bowie knife, but in a much different format. This is the Cold Steel Mini Tack Bowie. So again, big Bowie blade, and it has a name. It's called the Mini Tack. It's a tactical knife. It's meant for fighting. But it's very different from the Bowie knife in the fact that it's small and it's a neck knife. Look at that handle too. The mini tack is just a weird looking knife all the way around. But, especially this version, you can get different blade shapes of this knife. But this version here definitely captures the spirit of a Bowie knife. Really like that. Alrighty, moving on. Here's a knife that takes the Bowie knife and completely modernizes it while still making it look classy and kind of old-timey. And that's a Tucson Ts 338. What makes this knife so interesting? Well, you have that big clip Bowie blade, and it looks kind of old school. This bolster, this micarta looks like a rustic material. You have this kind of blackened blade in the stonewashed titanium. But the materials are completely modern, and it has a button lock, which, as everyone knows, that's a big thing nowadays. A very, very interesting knife, and one that I love having in my collection because it really does encapsulate kind of the Bowie feeling. It feels rugged. It looks rugged. I mean, you could see this in the Wild West. I mean, it would fit right in with kind of the styles, but you cannot deny how modern it is. With the button lock, the pocket clip, the materials. Very, very interesting knife. Alrighty, moving on. What if you want to take your Bowie knife to your wedding? Hi, goat. Well, introducing the best tech Bowie tie. M390 titanium carbon fiber. This is a completely modern premium version of a Bowie knife, and I love it a whole lot. This would be right at home in your pocket at a wedding, but look at that wicked Bowie blade. Alrighty, last up on our Bowie knife list. This knife may be more Bowie knife than this Bowie knife. And that knife, of course, is none other than the Cold Steel Espada XL. Just holding this knife makes me laugh. Look at that blade. Huge, just absolutely badass. This is a true Bowie knife. And it's folding. And it's huge. It's a two-handed folding knife. It's an absolutely ridiculous piece. But it's well made and it's usable. And in fact, I believe Lynn Thompson, the man responsible for this thing's creation, I believe he carries 2 of these. And every night I pray that no one ever tries to mug that man. Because not only will he absolutely destroy their body, he will banish their soul to the netherworld. I mean, could you imagine walking up on some guy in a dark alley, "Give me your wallet," and he pulls out 2 of these, and Lynn Thompson's a big dude. Man, I would crap my pants. No other way to say it. But there we go. There are 6 unique takes on the Bowie knife. I am currently building a Bowie knife collection, and maybe one day we'll do a collection update, but I really do love the Bowie knife. I think the clip point Bowie blade is absolutely gorgeous, and it's also very useful. I know it's kind of dropping out of popularity in the EDC world nowadays, but, you know, for outdoor use, it's just fantastic. It gives you a powerful blade, plenty of belly, plenty of straight, and it gives you a nice, precise tip for all kinds of different uses. And I just really, really love it. So, here we go. What are your favorites of these here? What are some of your favorite modern takes on Bowie knives that I don't have here? Or heck, even just weird versions of the Bowie knife from history that I may not know about. I mean, we could have talked about the Confederate D-guard Bowies. Those are pretty crazy. Or I know there were some Bowie knives made that had guns in the handle. That's pretty wild. But yeah, tell me down below what some of your favorite Bowie knives are. I've been Gideon. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Adios. I had to.